So we want to just describe kind of what it would look like when all of these efforts that everybody's undergoing right now succeed. You know, it's like everybody has their own playbook and blueprint of what things are supposed to look like after this transformation. But what do we see? What do we want to see? So what we want to bring to light is that there are a number of forces at play that are leading towards a future that is much different than the present. And we're beginning to feel some of these exponential technologies affecting us more and more. So before it was more just, oh, we're sharing music and files, but now we're sharing communication, data, video, large files, games. We're sharing a lot of different things. But then all of a sudden AI comes in and it's like, okay, we get to see something grow as quickly as Pokemon Go did. So it's like, okay, now we're starting to see the power of these not only network effects with each one of these platforms, but the influence of the platform itself causing massive potential for change within all of us by integrating and becoming aware of and participating in some of these new technologies and processes, which can be thought processes or actual physical thought, processes in any kind of instance. So it's not just tech. This can boil down to how you use your own energy. So just remember that this is a full spectrum of things that were incorporated into this understanding. And it's not specific. It's very broad and it's multifaceted. And each one of those things has a specific backing behind it, but we focus on convergence here. What does it mean when all of these specific things converge with each other? What new attributes and ideas stem from this convergence? What does that piece of the Venn diagram say? And then just throw another anything to converge with those two. And then it's like, okay, now we're starting to see this evolution of creativity that's not limited by our own understanding. And that is important because now we're aided with tools that we can tap in to the collective cerebral cortex and retrieve information at any point in time. And soon that will be fully automated and we won't even need computers to do it. So it is coming, and it is coming fast. And we need to pay attention to the level of change as it happens before, we're unable to do that, which will theoretically happen at the technological singularity. But that's just one piece of it. There's also these other mechanisms at play that want to like move industry into space. Bezos is behind that want to replace labor with robots. Musk and Boston Dynamics and dozens of others around the world are starting to do that now. So 2 months ago, it was like, oh, we're going to have 8 billion of these robots. That last week, it's over. Now we're going to have 20 billion because we have all these other players now. What does that mean? That means that we can manipulate the growth of the economy through automation, meaning that we can print as much money as we want as long as the economy is growing. So theoretically, abundance can be abound, and we won't have to do any of that work for it to perpetuate. So not only that, we can set some of these robots to clean every single mess that any human has ever made and restore the life to Earth that we killed when we put our technology into it without connecting it to the Earth and the life force of the Earth. We can get into really sophisticated biogeometry, sacred geometry, indigenous wisdom, and converge that with all of these things too. So we're not limited to just technology or religions that exist we can use our creativity to create something that doesn't exist and then converge that within in the snap of a thought, at the speed of thought. If we automate all the labor, both physical and intellectual, and I think it'll be a lot easier to automate the intellectual labor. We just haven't done it yet because we haven't had a replacement mechanism for that labor yet. So when the robots come in, we'll start to see the white collar jobs be eroded at the same rate, guaranteed. What this is going to do is going to remove the wages from the circular flow model in economic theory. So that has to be replaced with something. So we all have heard about UBI, universal basic income, universal basic resources, other mechanisms that would be able to provide basic necessities without cost, are subsidized heavily by the government. But what we're saying is through an economic model that explains zero marginal cost economics, which is just, it's the learning curve. And then it's associated with the 7Ds, which kind of exposes how digitizing something can get the marginal cost to approach zero. So it's an asymptote towards zero. So it'll approach it, but never be zero. So there will always be a mechanism for profit margin with zero marginal cost. So that doesn't necessarily remove motive, but it does offer the opportunity to create products that can benefit everyone on Earth that can gain access to it, because the cost of receiving that product would be so low. The price performance of these technologies double every X amount of time. And that means that it doubles in capability for the same amount of cost in X amount of time. And then if you look at it per unit, that per unit goes to that zero marginal cost asymptote all the way towards zero. And technically, if you look at that on a supply and demand graph, if you have a line on the x-axis that's pointing, outwards towards infinity, that is the definition of abundance. Zero cost, infinite supply. And that does not exist but for one sentence in our supply and demand textbooks. And that is abundance economics. And that does not exist in our supply and demand textbooks. So we can create economic abundance and coin a new class of economics in abundance economics through this mechanism. And I haven't seen anybody connect those dots. I've searched for it through the 7Ds of exponential technologies, zero marginal cost economics, exponential economics. That's another piece here that's very important, which is going to flip everything on its head. Abundance economics. And you won't find much of any of those. But if you do, please send it to me. And I'd love to talk to you about it. And maybe we can fill out the content of these things so we can educate people. But more so, if we have all of the socioeconomic system 1.0 automated and growing, that lifts all of the pressures of socioeconomic system 1.0 off of our chests and shoulders. So what does that free us up to do? Well, we want to have a solid base for socioeconomy 2.0. So we want to be able to, through zero marginal cost abundance economics, guarantee people food, water, shelter, clothing, education, healthcare, transportation, and energy. So it's like, how do we do that? I think it's starting right now with solar, wind, and batteries. And that's the first one that's going to unlock all the rest. So when energy is abundant and zero marginal cost, it is going to unlock so many other abundances that are material and non-material. So it's not just limited to thought. This is touching physical material abundance. And the true definition of that is saying anyone can take as much as they want without inhibiting the ability for anyone else to take as much as they want. And that is true abundance. And that is what our socioeconomic 2.0 base is offering, because we are pushing over capacity of everything, so not just energy, but all of this. So then we grow into it, and we're always growing into it. And then we can automate that to make sure that we're always growing into it, perpetuated into the future. And then that's just as a base. So now we have everything that we need to survive and learn and grow. And if we had personal AIs converge with education and healthcare. And then we can we can say, I want to build spiritualism and indigenous wisdom into this gestalt of my own creation. And I want you to detect things that I'm good at and train me in those. And then I want you to introduce things to me that would trigger that new thing feeling. But we're just getting to a point where we can say, all right, again, what does that free us up? Whatever we please. And if we feel like creating, then we'll create. If we feel like getting high and ordering Taco Bell and having a drone deliver it through the window while playing video games, that's what we're going to do, because that person is not taking away from society. And they're not doing that now, but we just have a stigma on that. So it's like the way we think about things are going to be completely different. So people aren't going to have to do anything they're doing now to survive or to be treated fairly or to prove ownership or identity. All of that's going to be gone, thing of the past. When we converge all of this with blockchain, proof of reputation blockchains, and whatever the next evolution on that string is going to be, people don't realize how fast these things are moving. And when we get to a point where these technologies themselves hit disruptive growth, that means that one of these decentralized, cooperative platform initiatives that provides good service or an expression that will increase your quality of life and standard of living by one tick, if you participate in it, will grow just as fast as OpenAI's ChatGPT. And then they'll proliferate like nothing else. Believe it.